In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern. Of course, we will go over the entire upcoming pattern, the upcoming severe weather as well, but I do want to mention something very important that we're going to be talking about today. There is a major tropical threat, and this threat, we don't really know if it could potentially impact the Gulf Coast, the East Coast, the Caribbean, Mexico. We don't really know. It could impact really anywhere at this point, but it has moved up to a high risk of development. And a lot of model guidance is suggesting that this could become not only a hurricane, which is like very, very rare for this time of year, but potentially a major hurricane, according to some model guidance. Now, take that statement obviously with a grain of salt, but to see guidance even suggesting that this time of year, especially from the European model family, it's absolutely crazy. We'll obviously talk about that at the end of the video, as we always do the tropics. We're going to move through our upcoming pattern real quickly, and you might have experienced some storminess either yesterday or last night if you're along these areas here. Certainly here in Southeast Virginia, we had some thunderstorms roll through overnight into the very early morning. As we just take this towards Friday afternoon here on June 28th, what we see here is a pretty rich area of isolated and scattered thunderstorms here in the deeper south and throughout the southeast. Now, in yesterday's video, I talked about this a million times, it felt like, but I want to try to kind of glance past this. This is going to be an almost daily occurrence, I want to let you guys know. So expect to see this, almost every single day on the models here. Because of the time of year, this is just a very, very common thing. With the humidity, the heat, comes these thunderstorms, these summer-like thunderstorms that are, again, almost daily, especially for Florida, Georgia, the deeper south there. Let's go ahead and take a look up northward, too, and what we see is a 998 here for the upper Midwest. And this is leading towards a lot of thunderstorm activity, especially to the south and east of that low, but even to the north, there could be some heavier showers or thunderstorms around. We even have a dragging area of precipitation behind all of this as well. Mostly just showers likely, but there could be some thunderstorms, especially on the eastern areas of Colorado and Wyoming, where severe weather and thunderstorms are actually very common. Let's go ahead and take this towards Saturday afternoon, and we see all of this activity is expected to kind of move in eastward. We have a low now in eastern Canada. We have thunderstorms, especially here, dragging again to the east and south of it. So for areas like New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, down through the rest of the mid-Atlantic, southeast, and into the deeper south here, we're seeing a lot of thunderstorms prevalent throughout these areas. Maybe even the Great Lakes and some of eastern Canada underneath that low as well. Keep that in mind. Really nothing else happening outside of that. So we're going to really just move past it towards Sunday on June 30th. And what we continue to see is thunderstorms up and down this eastern seaboard area, from the deeper south, southeast, up through the mid-Atlantic coast, and some of New England even. We are seeing thunderstorms really, really prevalent for Sunday afternoon on June 30th. Now also keep in mind that we see heavier thunderstorms in the southeast than most days. So this isn't just your, typical isolated to scattered thunderstorms. This is a lot more persistent, and definitely more associated with a widespread event than your day-to-day thunderstorms that we were discussing earlier. Good point to mention that we do have this kind of monsoon activity happening here. This happens a lot throughout this model run, so keep that in mind that is going to be ongoing. And also some Pacific Northwest activity, which, in the wintertime would come as absolutely no surprise. But during the summer, things do quiet down out there from time to time. So to see activity there is a little bit interesting. Let's take a look here at July 1st on Monday, and we continue to see these southeast thunderstorms. No surprise, as I mentioned. 1,001 millibar over the northern plains, some low pressure over the four corner states with that monsoon activity. And this leads towards overall the Rockies and the northern plains and upper Midwest, just seeing thunderstorms and showers around overall for Monday, July 1st. Let's take it towards Tuesday on July 2nd, and what we see here is a stronger low over south central Canada. Thunderstorms underneath all of this, obviously, for the northern plains, upper Midwest, and Great Lakes here, and your continued southeast thunderstorms. For Wednesday on July 3rd, what we see is that this low moves kind of just continuing northward towards the Hudson Bay, but we also continue to see thunderstorms for this pocket here from the Ohio Valley through the Great Lakes and through eastern Canada to the east of that low. Still some isolated activity throughout the deeper south and southeast. As we take a look at July 4th here on Thursday, what we're seeing is plenty of thunderstorms throughout kind of your northern plains, upper Midwest, down through the lower Midwest areas and some of the western Ohio Valley, I would call it. There is some isolated activity along that kind of southeast coast and deeper south coast, a little bit smaller regions there for the 4th of July, though. We will keep you up to date with the 4th of July forecast, of course. As we get closer, we're going to know a lot more, and we'll be able to give you a lot more of a pinned down forecast that we can have some confidence in. For now, a lot of this could change, so I don't want anybody to base their plans off of this whatsoever, obviously. As we take a look at Friday here on July 5th, we see that we get a stronger low over the upper Midwest, some more thunderstorms and showers moving further and further eastward, a lot quieter out west by this point. And by July 6th, we see that a lot of this activity is kind of spiraling out like this. We could tell there's a frontal boundary of sorts there. And probably a cold front up and down these areas for some of the deeper south, up the Appalachian Mountain Range, some of the mid-Atlantic coast, into the northeast. So pretty interesting there. We also have some thunderstorms firing up for the plains just to the east of the Rockies there by this point as well. Again, those areas do commonly see severe weather this time of year, a little bit further west in the plains than the springtime. Now, as we take a look at our European AI model, I want to move us to hours 240 approximately. Let's see here, right about there. And what we continue to see is more activity in the east, as you can see, from that hours 240 all the way through July 12th. So let me get the actual dates here. So that's July 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. So we get a pretty big period of thunderstorms in this area in here. And then it kind of reverts back towards the central states again for a few days as well. Likely heading eastward once more, though, so activity does not seem to be slowing down anytime soon whatsoever. Let's take a look at the total precipitation, and it comes as no surprise because of all of that continued activity that when you take a look at the plains and you really take it eastward, everywhere is pretty much seeing average to above average activity throughout all of these areas. Now, I always say this, but for this time of year, keep in mind that your county might not see any precipitation, and then the county over might see a major thunderstorm that brings, 3 inches of precipitation with it. The systems get so much smaller this time of year. Obviously, the thunderstorms can be very small, the size of like half a county to even a fourth of a county, depending on the size of that county, of course. And because of that, we really tend to see, these differentials between different counties and different areas, and it can lead towards a lot of mixed reviews on the forecast, if you will. But overall, this is going to be, most areas seeing precipitation, especially over a 10-day period, and lots of it from the upper Midwest, the northern plains, through to the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, the deeper south, southeast, mid-Atlantic, and the northeast. All of these areas, even southern Canada, seeing 2 to 5 inches over the next 10 days is going to be a very, very large amount. Now, for the temperature pattern, a lot of this comes as a result of this flip-flop pattern that I've been talking about for a few days. We see that we're in a cool down as we just had a cold front come through last night. So for Thursday, a little bit of a cool down in the east and a majority of the nation actually here. But what we see is a big warm up already by Saturday, Sunday time frame. So look at this, a beautiful Sunday, very hot from the deep south up the east coast. Even the west is very hot here as well. But what we see is another cool down trying to move in. So we're going to be flipping right back to the cold direction here for the early portion of that next week. Monday, July 1st, Tuesday, July 2nd here. And then for kind of Wednesday, Thursday, here's the look. Another warm up in the east. Going to be beautiful there for a little bit. But again, we see a cool down trying to move in. There's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I guess the warmth kind of wins out on this one. We get back into a warmer pattern overall with some cooler air able to infiltrate its way in, but it's not able to fully push that warmth out. As you can see, it's still around here. So the cold is really forced to do this, basically move up into Canada instead of fully moving in, which is going to be a warmer look overall if that is the case. Now for the Storm Prediction Center outlook here, as we take a look, here's the day one outlook for today on Thursday, June 27th. And what we see is a lot of general thunderstorm risk areas in the lighter greens, and that is where we expect general thunderstorms, as the name suggests. However, I want you to keep in mind that anything is possible, so I still want you to heed every watch, warning, and advisory. Now, in the darker green areas, we have level 1 marginal risks, and that is where we expect isolated severe weather to occur. In the yellow there, we have a level 2 slight risk, and that's where we expect scattered about severe weather to occur. And then in the orange there for the plains and some of the Eastern Rockies there, we have a level 3 enhanced risk where we expect a little bit more widespread activity to be possible as far as that severe weather is concerned. So really going to want to keep your eyes out, of course, for any of these colors, really. Now, as we take a look at day 2, this will be for Friday, June 28th, and what you can see is a very large general thunderstorm risk area here. The marginal risk area in the darker green is also fairly large, and the level 2 slight risk there for the plains. We can see it for areas of Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, and Minnesota. Still a very large slight risk area. Wouldn't even be surprised to see an upgrade in there somewhere to maybe an enhanced risk or more with how large that is, so keep that in mind for tomorrow on Friday, June 28th. As we take a look at Saturday, June 29th on day 3, we see another very large general thunderstorm risk area, another large marginal risk area where I could see the slight risk expanding in there, and then a very small slight risk there for eastern or most of Colorado, northern West Virginia, most of Ohio there, and then northern West Virginia, and then areas of western Pennsylvania as well there for day 3, Saturday. Now, let's take a look at the 2-day graphical tropical weather outlook real quickly, and what we see here is a 10% chance of development here on this eastern system, or western system, better yet, that is basically expected to move into this, nearly Gulf of Mexico area in the southern Caribbean. This area is a little bit more favorable than the areas here in the very far southern Caribbean. Keep that in mind. And then we have a 40% chance over the next 2 days of this MDR, which is short for Main Development Region, system developing. Look at all that activity. We see the satellite imagery here. Look at all that tropical activity firing up in the Main Development Region. This is very unseasonable, almost unheard of, I think. I've never seen anything like this, and it looks like we're in early August to mid-August timeframe, which should come as no surprise as we have early to mid-August temperatures out there, which is really aiding in just, bringing this type of activity. Very crazy. When we look at the 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook, we see here that this system has a 30% chance of development, so a fairly low chance here. It's expected to move over the Yucatan Peninsula into the southern Gulf of Mexico, and that's going to be a pretty hard trek to see development. However, our Main Development Region system here has a 70% chance of development here over the next 7 days and is expected to move into the southern Caribbean. It does have a little bit of a northern curvature to it, and if it did stay close to Dominican Republic, Haiti, Cuba, Jamaica there, that area tends to be fairly favorable, and I could see this one developing and potentially impacting the United States in some shape or form. If it heads in the southern areas of this cone and we see it really move towards South America, I would not expect to see development out of this one. So a little bit of a fork in the road here. I'm curious to see what ends up happening, and I'm looking forward to tracking this one with you guys. We do upload every single day, so be sure to subscribe. We also definitely be sure to hit the bell icon for daily notifications as well. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.